Welcome to the Tim Booker Book Sharing channel. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our updates. Let's explore the world of books together.
Today's book for you is The Art of Forgery. This book examines various art forgery incidents, big and small, throughout history. It analyzes the motivations driving different forgers, their thought processes, how they deceived others, and ultimately, how their deceptions were uncovered. Understanding these forgery cases helps art collectors better identify counterfeit pieces, preventing them from falling into the trap of deception. For ordinary individuals like us, this book provides a fresh perspective on art history, the art ecosystem, and the value of artworks, satisfying our curiosity to a great extent. Before diving into the formal interpretation, let's first learn about a legendary figure in the contemporary art market, not a great artist, but a genius forger, Wolfgang Beltracchi. According to estimates from the German Cologne prosecutor's office, he walked away with €34.1 million using 14 fake paintings, deceiving numerous art experts, dealers, and collectors. Beltracchi is considered a genius forger because he didn't simply copy originals but, after in-depth research into art history and artists, imagined what masterpieces these artists might have created. He then crafted so-called lost masterpieces. One of Beltracchi's most successful forgeries was a work titled Forest, attributed to the German surrealist painter Max Ernst. This forgery received acclaim and praise from the renowned art historian Werner Pais, who was not only Ernst's friend but also curated Ernst's first major retrospective. The fake painting was boldly exhibited in the Max Ernst Museum and later sold to a collector for $7 million. To replicate Ernst's work, Forest, Beltracchi personally ground minerals to match pigments from different eras, studied the age of the canvas, controlled the drying time of oil paints, and fabricated seamless stories about the artwork's provenance. Even details like dust and odor on the paintings were within his considerations. Why was such a successful forger eventually caught? It was due to a lapse in judgment. While forging a work from 1914, Beltracchi lazily used titanium white pigment bought from an art supply store, a pigment that was only invented in 1916. This mistake led to his downfall, and authorities traced 14 forged works. However, these were only the forgeries he admitted to, and it's unknown how many fake paintings might still be in the hands of collectors and museums. Despite being sentenced to 6 years in prison, Beltracchi became an unconventional art star due to his successful forgeries. In 2014, a documentary titled Beltracchi, The Art of Forgery, was released, gaining immense popularity and sparking discussions about art, commerce, and ethics. People increasingly realized that we live in an era where applause is for prices, not for Picasso. The book I'm interpreting for you, The Art of Forgery, aims to unveil the lesser-known realm of art forgery. The author, Noah Charney, a renowned criminologist, art historian, and founder-president of the Association for Research into Crimes Against Art, uses real cases to outline the overall landscape of art forgery. Many forgery stories unfold like gripping detective novels. Noah Charney is exceptionally suited to narrate these tales, being both an expert in crime and a best-selling author. Next, I'll interpret this book for you in 3 parts. In the first part, we'll review the extensive history of art forgery. In the second part, we'll delve into the various motivations behind art forgers. In the final part, we'll discuss how to effectively curb art forgery in contemporary society, with the author's suggestions serving as crucial warnings for us. The saying, "the whole is greater than the sum of its parts," holds a profound meaning in the context of art. Let's take the example of Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, composed of various pigments, adhesives, and varnished wood. If we were to disassemble and measure the material components individually, their intrinsic value would be relatively low. However, when these seemingly inexpensive elements are skillfully combined by a master, they transform into a great work of art, becoming incredibly precious and invaluable. Given that inexpensive materials can be turned into gold in the hands of a master, forgers can also earn substantial profits by impersonating masters. This helps us understand why the history of art forgery has persisted from ancient times to the present. It can be said that the history of art forgery began as soon as the history of art transactions started. Even in ancient Greece, there were records of forgery. The renowned mathematician Archimedes exposed a forgery case where someone sold a crown, supposedly made of gold, to the king of Syracuse. Archimedes used the displacement method to calculate density, revealing that the volume of the crown was inconsistent with the volume of an equivalent weight of gold. The crown was actually made by mixing gold with a lighter metal. During ancient Rome, the authenticity of art became a serious issue. Romans admired Greek culture and considered Greek artifacts, such as pottery and sculptures, more valuable than their locally produced counterparts. Consequently, numerous imitations of Greek artifacts flooded the market. Many sculptures from the Roman period displayed in major museums today, like the Laocoon and his sons, in the Vatican museums, were imitations of Greek originals. This sculpture, created between 42 BCE and 20 BCE, was crafted by Roman artists imitating Greek works, and it has become one of the most famous and representative ancient sculptures. From the decline of Rome in the 5th century to the early Renaissance in the 15th century, an era dominated by Catholic beliefs, religious relics became highly coveted. In this period, the widespread forgery of religious relics, such as bones or fragments of clothing, for substantial profits was common. Buyers, however, had no means of verification. A notable example is the Shroud of Turin, believed to be the linen cloth used to wrap the body of Jesus. For centuries, it was considered genuine, even bearing an image resembling Jesus' body. However, carbon dating in the 20th century revealed it to be a complete forgery, created around 1300 CE, over 1,000 years after Jesus' death, with the image painted using red ochre. Starting from the Renaissance, art production and collection flourished, elevating the status of artists. The modern concept of art collection emerged, with popes, kings, and nobility expanding their collections not only of artworks but also of artists. Many well-known artists today, such as Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Michelangelo, Rubens, and Velázquez, worked for royal or noble patrons. As the value of artworks increased, forgery became more lucrative, leading to the rise of a specialized industry of individuals making a living by forging paintings. At the same time, art collectors became more vigilant. Prince Liechtenstein, a prominent collector, stamped each of his artworks as a mark when moving his collection to prevent genuine pieces from being swapped with fakes. This indicates that forgery had become a sizable criminal enterprise, with mature craftsmanship and cases of substitution being common. Moving into the 19th century, industrialization led to a surge in private wealth, and newly wealthy industrial capitalists sought to showcase their status through a keen interest in art. They relied on agents to purchase artworks on their behalf, facilitating the circulation of forgeries. Collaboration between art dealers and connoisseurs also played a crucial role in determining the value of artworks. Influential art connoisseurs held significant authority, and dealers sought their endorsement through certificates of authenticity. For instance, the close collaboration between art historian Berenson and art dealer Devine is noteworthy. Berenson was a top connoisseur specializing in identifying works of Italian painters from the 15th and 16th centuries. His authentication certificates were almost a guarantee of a genuine artwork in the art world. He would attribute high-quality, unsigned works to certain prominent artists, enabling Devine to sell them at higher prices. However, despite their successful partnership, disagreements over professional knowledge eventually led to a parting of ways. In one instance, Devine wanted Berenson to attribute a painting titled Adoration of the Shepherds to Giorgione, as Giorgione's works were rare and more valuable. Berenson insisted it was by Titian, refusing to provide the desired authentication. Ironically, history played a joke on Berenson. Scholars later leaned toward the opinion that the painting was indeed by Giorgione, meaning that Devine's profit-driven misjudgment was correct regarding the authorship of the artwork. While before the 20th century, art authentication primarily relied on experts analyzing style and imagery, significant advancements occurred afterward. Two major breakthroughs in art authentication emerged: scientific examinations for forensic purposes and historical investigations into the provenance of artworks. These advancements significantly increased the difficulty for forgers to pass off imitations as genuine. However, even with these developments, the first step in confirming the authorship of a work remains seeking the opinions of relevant experts and art historians. When expert opinions conflict, scientific tests and provenance investigations are initiated. Nevertheless, these scientific tests and historical inquiries are not foolproof. Many scientific tests only provide possibilities rather than definitive answers, and the logical analysis and confirmation of relationships still depend on human factors. The application of provenance investigations is also limited, especially for pre-modern artworks where archival losses are prevalent. According to optimistic estimates, only 1/3 to 1/2 of archival records for pre-modern artworks have survived. This explains how master forgers like Beltracchi were able to exploit numerous loopholes. Part 2, after a brief overview of the history of forgery, let's explore the motivations behind the creation of counterfeit artworks. In the public's perception, the motives for art forgery are commonly associated with money, theft, and fraudulent activities. However, the author of this book, after extensive research into numerous cases, discovered that the situation is more nuanced. While financial gain is indeed a significant reward and a key motivation for art forgery, many master forgers have motivations beyond mere monetary considerations. Some forge artworks to showcase their artistic talent, others seek fame, some aim to ridicule the art world, and there are even instances where collectors and connoisseurs knowingly cooperate in forgery to boost their own esteem. Firstly, let's delve into the scenario where forgers engage in the activity to showcase their artistic talent. Anyone familiar with art education understands that imitation is the first step in learning, an unavoidable aspect of emulating the masters. For forgers who also consider themselves artists, creating works that are indistinguishable from those of past masters becomes a tremendous affirmation of their own talent and technical skill. Some forgers aspire to demonstrate abilities that rival or surpass those of the masters, showcasing their personal talent and exceptional craftsmanship to the world. It's worth noting that in art history, distinguishing between imitation and forgery can sometimes be challenging. Many renowned artists we know today were once forgers in the sense that they engaged in imitation. Take Michelangelo, one of the three giants of the Renaissance, as an example. In 1496, at the young age of 21, Michelangelo carved a marble statue titled Sleeping Eros and intentionally tried to pass it off as an ancient work. The sculpture was initially sold by a dealer as an antique to an astute cardinal, but suspicions arose, and the sculpture was returned to the dealer. However, in the process, Michelangelo transformed from an unknown artisan into the most sought-after artist in Rome. Consequently, Sleeping Eros was eventually attributed to Michelangelo and no longer viewed as an imitation. This example illustrates that the line between being an artistic genius and an outstanding art criminal can be blurry at times. However, in many other cases, the standards for distinguishing between art and forgery are clear-cut. Part 3, now, let's explore the second motive behind forgery, artists engaging in forgery to gain reputation. Great art always thrives at the intersection of public attention, yet the highest standard for forgery is to remain concealed. In other words, the pinnacle of forgery is to be regarded as genuine, leaving no trace of the creator. For exceptionally talented and skilled forgers, achieving this is akin to a triumphant stealthy escapade. However, beyond monetary gain and silent self-affirmation, forgers sometimes seek the achievement of public recognition. For instance, the book mentions a German painter named Marskat, who, after restoring the fire-damaged St. Mary's Church in Lübeck following World War II, forged extensive wet frescoes. He claimed that these frescoes remained intact due to being painted over in white earlier. Marskat aimed to gain fame through this forgery, and to his disappointment, his impeccable skills raised no suspicions. In a bizarre turn of events, when the church commemorated its 700th anniversary in 1954, Germany issued 4 million commemorative stamps featuring Marskat's forged frescoes. The German authorities officially affirmed the authenticity of the frescoes, leaving Marskat disheartened. Eventually, he publicly confessed to his forgery, but due to official confirmation, nobody believed he had actually forged the frescoes. In a last resort, Marskat took his case to court, providing conclusive evidence that the forgeries were indeed his creations. This incident is a paradoxical tale that elicits both laughter and disbelief. The story of Marskat's forged frescoes on a German commemorative stamp reveals the awkward situation faced by forgers seeking fame. On one hand, their successful forgeries, fooling experts and the public, allow them to relish a sense of superiority. on the other hand, their desire for fame remains unfulfilled unless their forgeries are exposed to the public, lacking the ultimate joy and sense of accomplishment. Therefore, some forgers choose to unveil their forgeries rather than carry the secret to their graves. Another significant reason for forgers daring to expose their secrets is the leniency shown by the public, media, and legal sentencing standards towards art forgers. Even if their crimes become public knowledge, the punishment is often not severe. Many forgers, after serving a few years in prison, can continue their careers, enjoying substantial income and ample attention. Some forgers, upon release, are invited by television networks to explain painting techniques on art shows, gaining numerous fans. Others are hired by museums to specialize in authenticating artworks. The public might even idolize these art criminals, treating them like Robin Hoods of art forgery. In the eyes of the public and media, art forgers are different from other criminals, as they are perceived not to commit grievous offenses. The notion of heroic deeds, in the eyes of the public and media, leads us to the third motive for forgery, seeking revenge on the art world through counterfeiting. Many forgers commit crimes with a Robin Hood mentality, aiming to deceive and confront the art world, exposing its hypocritical cover. Some forgers initially harbored artistic ideals, aspiring to enter art history under their own names. However, the path to fame in the art world is known to be challenging and often dependent on chance. Consequently, some individuals, in an effort to prove their worth equal to the masters and to expose the supposedly knowledgeable experts, engage in forgery as a retaliatory measure. For example, the book mentions the British forger Tom Keating, who forged a large number of works fueled by a revengeful mindset. Trained in painting restoration in his youth, Keating dreamt of conquering the art world with his own creations but struggled to make ends meet. He believed the art world was too exclusive, with galleries and critics profiting from artists' hard work. Keating resolved to challenge the rules of the art world by using forgery. He forged works by renowned painters such as Titian, Rembrandt, and Renoir. Keating played a cat-and-mouse game with the entire art world, intentionally leaving clues in his forgeries that could prove they were not genuine. For instance, he wrote text in lead white pigment on the bottom layer of a painting, visible only under X-ray. He also incorporated elements from the 20th century into 17th century works, creating obvious anachronisms. Keating embedded these clues as time bombs to provoke experts in the art world. With these deliberate flaws, he avoided accusations of fraud even if his forgeries were discovered. Keating relished these pranks, circulating over 2,000 forgeries, but refused to provide a list of his works, leaving the art world's self-proclaimed experts to deal with the issue. Keating, by engaging in forgery, declared war on the art world that once rejected him. However, are experts truly oblivious, or do they feign ignorance? Certainly not, as many times, they simply pretend to be unaware. The success of forgeries depends not only on the forger's skill but also on a covert chain of interests involving collectors, connoisseurs, and dealers. For various reasons, these intermediaries may contribute to the occurrence of forgery. Additionally, powerful figures in the art world may manipulate attributions not for financial gain but to preserve their own prestige. An example of this type is the collaboration between art historian Behrens and art dealer Devine. Moreover, authoritative art institutions such as museums are prone to similar problems. The author claims that no museum or art gallery in the world dares to assert that its collection is devoid of forgeries. The Getty Museum in California, often associated with acquiring forgeries and looted artifacts, faced a scandal in 2001 involving Renaissance drawings. The newly appointed director, Turner, suspected that 6 Renaissance drawings in the museum were forgeries, including Raphael's female portrait with a shin bone. Turner not only provided ample reasons for doubt from a technical perspective but also implicated the highly likely forger. He sought further scientific analysis, but the museum's management initially consented and later reversed, asking Turner to remain silent, pretending ignorance of the forgeries. They feared that if scientific testing confirmed the forgeries, it would imply they had done nothing, as these works were supposed to be authentic, and challenging the previous director would be akin to questioning the competence of their own team. If proven forgeries, it would publicly embarrass the management, revealing their ignorance and negligence. Faced with a lose-lose situation, Turner filed a lawsuit against the Getty Museum and eventually resigned from his position. Under pressure, the museum appointed 2 experts to evaluate the drawings, avoiding scientific testing. However, even the expert opinions could not reach a consensus, and the authenticity of these 6 drawings was left unresolved. After introducing the history of forgery and the motives of forgers, let's examine some suggestions provided by the author, Charney, to curb contemporary forgery in society. Firstly, in the authentication of artworks, the author recommends introducing independent and objective provenance investigators who can critically examine the origins of works. Since most contemporary forgeries involve fabricating the identity of genuine works through false provenance materials, an in-depth examination of provenance information is crucial. Neutral investigators, without any vested interests in transactions, can approach the provenance data with the skeptical attitude of a jury, which can help prevent fraud to some extent. In addition to provenance investigations, the author suggests the implementation of art authenticity insurance to protect buyers' interests. This involves insurance companies providing guarantees for the authenticity of works. If a work turns out to be a forgery, not the masterpiece claimed by the seller, the insurance company compensates the buyer accordingly. The involvement of insurance companies as guarantors has several benefits. They send their own assessors to thoroughly inspect items before insuring them, reducing the likelihood of collaboration between sellers and authentication experts in creating forgeries. Moreover, insurance companies play a role in deterring unscrupulous practices in the art market. Ultimately, it is the buyers who create a market for forgeries. Despite intermediaries such as auction houses, galleries, dealers, and experts theoretically safeguarding buyers' interests, the reality often falls short of expectations. Therefore, buyers need to gather more information, acquire more knowledge, and make informed judgments to avoid falling victim to various scams. The transition from being a warned purchaser to a self-aware knowledge seeker is essential. The author's purpose in writing this book is to make more people aware of art scams, fostering self-learning and self-awareness. In addition to the 3 recommendations mentioned by the author, I would also like to briefly discuss the current trend in the art world, NFT, non-fungible token, projects. These projects have become immensely popular in the realms of art, fashion, investment, and the internet. NFT stands for non-fungible token, a term derived from blockchain technology. In simple terms, NFTs tokenize digital assets such as images, audio, videos, and games, leveraging blockchain to ensure the permanence and authenticity of digital creations. From the moment a work is uploaded, it becomes immune to forgery, replication, or tampering. Regardless of the work's initial significance or the artist's obscurity, people can trace its origins and entire commercial history clearly. Thus, each work is guaranteed uniqueness, authenticity, and permanence, ensuring a clear lineage akin to the seals of past collectors found on many ancient Chinese paintings and calligraphy. NFTs digitally represent this ancient process, displaying the complete chain of ownership and transactions. The underlying logic in both cases remains consistent: humanity's desire for authenticity, a yearning to be part of the continuous legacy of civilization. From ancient times to the present, the objects of imitation in art have been closely related to the desires of humanity. The threshold for art forgery has continuously risen, progressing from pure subjective judgment to the establishment of disciplinary norms and quantitative standards. Today, it has evolved to utilize scientific testing and provenance investigation, and now, NFT technology has emerged to guarantee the authenticity of artworks. It can be said that, in measuring artistic value, humanity has never relinquished the standard of authenticity, always aspiring towards the unity of truth, goodness, and beauty. Alright, here we've concluded the interpretation of The Art of Forgery for you. Let's recap some key points from this audiobook. Firstly, the history of art forgery has long been intertwined with the development of art. Before art appreciation became an independent discipline in the 19th century, detecting art forgery was quite challenging. As time progressed, with the refinement of disciplines and the maturity of technology, the threshold for art forgery has risen significantly. Secondly, the motives behind art forgery are diverse. Contrary to common assumptions, many forgers are not initially driven by financial gain. Their motivations vary, and their actions manifest in different ways. For forgers, the lenient public opinion, public acclaim, and legal leniency all contribute to their refusal to repent for their crimes. Thirdly, regarding how to curb forgery at the societal level, the author provides professional and practical recommendations. It is suggested to introduce neutral third parties into the art market, whether they are investigators tracing origins or expert teams employed by insurance companies. This can prevent forgery by thoroughly examining the provenance of artworks. More importantly, buyers should actively learn and acquire more knowledge to avoid falling victim to various scams. Lastly, let's discuss the significance of reading this book. Considering the vastness of great artworks in art history, why should we care about art forgery incidents? If we view artworks as the pinnacle moments of human civilization, then forgery becomes the shadow beneath this brilliance. Together, they form a complete artistic ecosystem, presenting the history of interaction between people, art, and commerce. As a contrast to authentic pieces, the existence of forgeries tells us that behind the cultural surface, there is always richer content, more intricate textures waiting for us to understand and explore. They also showcase the more complex, diverse, and intriguing dimensions of human nature. Alright, that wraps up the essence of this book. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom and practice, achieve our financial goals, and create a better future together. Thank you, everyone, goodbye.